Hey, everybody. It's August of 2022, and so it is tax season. And most of you are receiving something like this in the mail and often wondering what to do about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Hey guys, Jake Breen here with Team Utah Cribs at Berkshire Hathaway Utah Properties. If what I'm about to go through stresses you out, don't worry. If you're friends, family, or clientele of ours, we're happy to do everything I'm going to walk you through for you. But I will also film this video so you can do it yourself if you'd like. When you receive your annual tax value estimation form, here's what the Salt Lake County one looks like. Every county has their own, but they look similar. And there's a few things that you should always check first. You should always check if the data they have on your property is accurate, the size of the parcel, the square footage, things like that. And also, if it's your personal residence that is being valued, the number one thing to check every year, and I have seen before where the tax assessor's office makes a mistake and had somebody as a primary residence for many years and then changed that. And by far and away, the reason this is the number one thing you need to check is right here on the form. It will say residential exemption reduction. So it will say, here's the estimated value of your home, $306,500 on this one I pulled up this morning. But the exemption, because it's your primary residence, is $137,000. So every county does this a little bit different. Salt Lake County gives you 45% off of the value, the market value of the property. They take 45% off of that and give it as a primary exemption. So you pay far less tax. So I have people all the time kind of want to maybe appeal or argue their value, which we're happy to do. And I'll show you a little bit about that. But by far and away, the first thing you want to check is if you're getting the residential exemption. And every county does that a little bit different. For example, Park City, Summit County is a 40% reduction. Salt Lake County is 45%. But most of them are very significant. Okay. Investors, second homes, vacation properties, you're all having to pay full market value. If it is your primary residence, or if it's a second home and then you then switched and made it your primary residence, you've got to go to the county's site or into the county building that that property resides in and ask them for a residential primary residence exemption form. Fill that out, get it turned in. That'll reduce your tax by far and away the most. Okay. The next thing to check is just that value. And that's what everyone kind of looks at. Now, before I dive into the appeal process, let me tell you some things I've learned in my 20-year career, having argued tax values at every level. I've done it digitally with just forms and comps. I've been hired to do it on large properties that the government is doing what's called eminent domain, and value is being disagreed upon. And I've done it at the county appeal live level, where you go in front of a judge and you've got to make your argument against the tax assessor, and it's you versus county tax assessor, and a judge makes the decision. So these can get pretty crazy. But stage one, if you feel the value's too high, step one is pretty easy, and you should go through that process. And that's just filling out a few forms, or we could do that for you. Okay. So I'm going to show an example of the appeal form. Now, most counties now have these forms online. You can PDF fill online. You can do an entire appeal process online without printing any forms, or you can print this off, fill it out, and send it back in. There are multiple ways in which you could argue value, okay? Most counties give you 4 or 5 different options. Those options are: A, did you buy the property during the assessment period? And if you bought it for less than what they are valuing it as, all you have to do is show your HUD-1 settlement statement from closing. And that's a pretty sure thing. If you bought it for less than what they're assessing value at, you send in that HUD, and you got a 99% chance the assessor is going to lower the tax assessed value of the property. I rarely see this work out because usually the tax assessed value is, and especially since the market's been so hot, is far less than what somebody paid for the property. The next is if you have a valid, legitimate professional appraisal by a licensed appraiser during the tax valuation period that's less, then you can just send that in. So those are two quick, easy, dirty. I rarely see either of those two work out. And one side note here on timing, when arguing the value, everyone gets confused because they get that form and they go, oh, the assessor thinks my value is X. And these forms come out in August, end of July, August every year. And what they're valuing is the value of the property as of January 1st, going back 8 months. January 1st, 2022 is the value. So if you're going to the marketplace to provide comparables, you can go as far back as well, a full year if you really want to. So you could go all the way back to January of 2021, and they're going to put more weight on comps that are centered around January 1st of the tax assessed year. Okay, so think about this. In a declining market, valuations come out in August, and people often want to say, well, I got a sale that just occurred in July that puts my value way down. And the assessor is really not going to put much weight on that comp that just sold in a down market, because they're saying, what was the value last January while the market was still up? Okay. I know my screen gets a little blurry, so I will just, instead of showing you the form, I'll just tell you your other options. If it's a commercial or investment property, you can use what's called the cost or the income approach. What would it cost to rebuild? What kind of income is it deriving, and what are market cap rates? That gets pretty complicated. If you have an issue there, just reach out to me and I can help you do that. But the option that most people use is comps. I've got comparable sales that are less, and I want my value lowered. Now, I have been involved in hundreds of these appeals and negotiations. And I will tell you, tax assessors do this for a living. And before you go to really scrutinize or argue your own value on your primary residence, I will caution you that when you open Pandora's box, when you shine a spotlight on your property, you do open the option for the assessor to come live and check out the property. And I've had it backfire here or there on clients, because all of us, of course, want to get the value on our taxes as low as possible and pay the least tax as possible. Then if we go to sell, we want it to be worth the most it could be worth and sell to whoever will pay the most. And when you play this game, if the tax assessor does decide, if it gets taken pretty far and it's a significant amount, the tax assessor has the right to schedule a time to come visit the property live with you, and they will scrutinize everything. What quality is the place? Is the acreage correct? Is the square footage correct? Did you build an extra garage? Has the basement been finished since they last checked it? Did you add a pool? Anything like that can not only erase all the comps, but it can raise your value from what they assessed it. Okay. I would tell you a good 70% of the time, if we decide to appeal, we usually win. Okay. But just a caution, you're opening Pandora's box. So if you're appealing based on comps, it becomes pretty simple. You reach out to us or your other trusty real estate agent friend, and you get what the tax assessor wants is called full MLS listing reports of sold properties that you feel are the most comparable and the most close sales to January 1st of said tax year. So you're really trying to look for the closest properties, the ones that are most similar footage, similar yard size, similar quality, similar to your build. There's some room to play here. So I will say that when I do appeals for clients, I always try to find the absolute lowest sales that are within the time frame, that are the closest proximity to the property. Oftentimes, I know my client's home, let's say, would sell for $1 million on the open market. The tax assessed value is $900, but I can justify a tax value of, say, $700 based on some comparables that did sell, that there were either desperate sellers or not quite as nice condition, etc. And a tax assessor, if the details you are sharing in comps are material and very similar to the subject property, they have a hard time saying no to your appeal. Okay, so that's really how that game is played. If that is frustrating or confusing, send any questions our way. We just want you to know your rights and options as a citizen of the county you reside in. And we're always happy to help you value real estate and educate you so that when it comes to your real estate, you can make educated decisions.